Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm going to be talking about a film that some might actually consider to be one of the worst films ever made. I recently got to watch it with a group of friends for what we like to call bad movie night, which is where you choose the worst possible movie, you try to have fun with it, but you also kind of better understand your love for the films you love through the films that are not so great. But we managed to track down what many consider one of the worst films ever made, even Roger Ebert himself, besides the film North by Rob Reiner, which I probably will review probably at some point soon as well. But besides North, another film that Roger Ebert absolutely hated, like 100% didn't like anything about it, kind of a hate for this movie, was Leonard Part 6. This film starred Bill Cosby, and believe it or not, it starred the actress who played the Oracle in the Matrix movies, at least the first two, since she passed away before the third one was made. But that actress appears in this movie as one of the villains. But I gotta say, Roger Ebert was right. This film is awful. It is just. I'm kind of feel bad touching this movie right now. I feel like I need some type of special gloves to handle this movie with. It's just to give you a glimpse at it again. Here's Leonard Part 6 with Bill Cosby. This film is bad. There's just no way around it. This film sucks. Even Bill Cosby himself hates the movie so much. I think he bought the television rights for this movie just so it can never be shown on television. And good on him, but bad on him for saying yes to this movie. This movie sucks. It is awful. It is trash. It is not funny. It is not clever. It is not creative. It is not original. There's every possible negative you could think of in the book happened in Leonard Part 6. It's just profoundly bad. So I guess as any movie review goes, I have to explain the synopsis of what appears to be a movie but really isn't. Um, in this movie, you guys, the best I can come up with as far as what I was witnessing with all these scenes put together for this movie is it's basically about this super spy that Bill Cosby plays, and he's kind of like the best in the business. Like the CIA looks up to him the most. He can take down any bad guy, accomplish any mission. He is the go-to guy for the CIA. He is the super spy of their business. And so things get bad when this woman of big power, I guess, managed to get a hold of all these small animals like fish and sheep and anteaters and parrots and people who dress up in bird costumes. She has all this people and animals working for her, I guess. So she's trying to take over the world with all these small animals. She's trying to get everybody to become vegetarian. She's trying to get these animals to attack these people that are going to stand in her way. So basically, they call up Bill Cosby after what he assumed was his retirement. He works at this San Francisco restaurant somewhere. And so, even at the restaurant, someone tries to attack him, and he's called back into action. And with all the best that he has with his weapons and his skills and all that stuff, he has to go take on this lady before she takes over the world. So, right there, that is probably the most basic, most bare bone, most generic super spy story you could basically come up with. And on top of that, they came up with the whole small animals trying to take over the world thing, too. So, on top of all that, you had to witness all that, which is really bad, really, really bad in this movie. So let's go into what I believe are my positives and negatives for this movie. And believe me, the positives are in very short supply. So let's go over the one and only positive I had for Leonard Part 6, and that it tries to be over the top. That's probably the only positive thing I can think of from the first frame on out of this movie. This film is over the top. It has no shame. It is going to try to show you as many images and over the top things they can come up with, like fish that are eating men that aren't piranhas, that people drive tanks instead of cars in San Francisco, that people are dressing up in bird costumes when they work for a woman of strong power, and all this stuff that clearly is trying to be intentional for this movie. It is just so over the top, so overboard. But hey, from frame one on out, they tried to be over the top, so I can't knock them down too much for a tone, I guess, that they were trying to accomplish with the movie. So for my negatives, since I have quite a few of them, this film is not funny. This film is not clever. Anytime the movie tries to be cute in certain moments, it fails. It just does not work. There's even a scene that Roger Ebert constantly refers to in this film where Bill Cosby's trying to talk his own daughter out of marrying this guy that is really, really old and clearly trying to rob the cradle, quote unquote. Um, And what he does throughout the entire scene is he has a Coca-Cola bottle next to his face the entire scene, like he has it the whole scene. He's holding the Coca-Cola bottle, and even when like he's holding it at an angle or sitting down on a couch, like having like his arm around his daughter and so forth, it still has the bottle in his hand and it still says Coke, even when the Coca-Cola part of the bottle is not showing. It'll say Coke on the other side of it. The Coca-Cola company did everything in their power to make sure that you were drinking Coca-Cola by the time Leonard Part 6 was done with, or that you had a Coca-Cola in your hand while you were watching Leonard Part 6. Because if you don't know about Coca-Cola, there's a whole scene about Coca-Cola where they're going to make sure that you're drinking Coca-Cola by the time the movie is done with. And by the way, have you tried Coca-Cola? Like, it really is that, like, in your face. Like, it is desperately trying to get you to buy Coca-Cola by the time that one scene is done with. Like, okay, I get it. You want me to drink Coca-Cola? Stop. It's just like, ugh, it's so annoying. Okay, so on to other things I did not like about this movie. There's so many hidden sexual themes in this movie. You swear that Bill Cosby himself is hitting on his own daughter in this movie. Yes, there's scenes that feel like that in this movie. There's scenes like that in this movie where you feel like he's hitting on his own butler. His own butler. Yes, there's that many like hidden things in this movie. Like all the stuff that's going on with him in real life right now with the drugs and the women and all that. Yes, there's scenes like that that feel like that in this movie. It feels that obvious. It feels that in your face about it. It's like, this is kind of creepy for a PG movie. Why are they doing all this? The CGI is awful. It is some of the worst CGI I've ever seen in a movie. The special effects are awful. There's even a scene where these frogs are trying to get rid of this like other spy that works with Bill Cosby at this organization, and they hide under his car, and they basically hop him to the river by jumping under his car and like hopping his own car to the river. And the CGI is so bad they don't even animate the frogs when the car is about to hop into the river. It's just that awful. It looks that bad. Yeah, some of the worst CGI and special effects I think I've ever seen in a movie. Certain scenes feel dreamlike in this movie, and that's not a compliment. It really does feel like, you know how when you're in a dream or you're dreaming at night, you know, like you remember kind of the things you dreamt about, like you could tell somebody where you were or what you were looking at or what was in that dream. But like what you could, like as far as like a story was going or a scenario was going or like what exactly you were doing, you know, you don't quite remember those kind of things. There's scenes like that that kind of feel like that, where it's clearly Bill Cosby in like a CIA meeting, but the things that people say and talk about and do around each other and try to do for humor in this movie is so dreamlike and so uncohesive. You don't really know what the joke is or what's going on or like what the scene is there for besides Bill Cosby being sent on a mission to do something. Like it's just so dreamlike and uncohesive, and it doesn't work. It really doesn't work for a lot of these scenes. And then for my next negative, every character in this film is either unlikable or uninteresting. Not even Leonard himself, played by Bill Cosby, is that interesting of a character. The wife isn't interesting. The daughter isn't interesting. The old man boyfriend is not interesting. The butler, I guess, of the wife, because the wife has a butler and Bill Cosby's character has a butler. He gets like a couple of like little funny things to do, I guess. I guess he's like the one and only redeeming character in the movie. But everybody else, like I said, is unlikable, uninteresting, and boring. I can't name any more negatives that I'm already naming off. It just really is that bad for this movie. I also never understand why it's called Leonard Part 6. It's the first movie. This agent has clearly been around for a long time in this story's universe. He's clearly gone on more than 6 missions, even though they're claiming it's Leonard Part 6. And the film, at the best I can like pick out of what they tell us in as the audience in the story, they're claiming it's like his 6th big mission. Why not just call Leonard Mission 6 or Leonard's 6th mission or the 6th, you know, like something better than Leonard Part 6. It sounds like it's this ongoing like thing that really hasn't been around. It's just one movie, and it's just like, what's going to attract people to see Leonard Part 6? I mean, I don't really get that. So even the title of the movie, it felt like the filmmakers just had no idea what they were making in this movie. That goes to my next point. The opening of this film is very confusing. It's almost like highlight moments from the movie, even though they're not really highlight moments. They're just things that happen later on in the movie, and they try to make it look like they're really big, important things at the beginning. Like Bill Cosby riding an ostrich, Bill Cosby making a vegetarian eat a hot dog, Bill Cosby riding a tank down a highway. It's just like, okay, they happen later in the movie. Why are we watching like this montage of things that are going to happen, even though we could have just waited later on in the movie to see those scenes happen, but yet you're making it look like they're so important that we had to know at the beginning of the movie in order to maintain interest. So I just didn't get that part of the movie either. Also, this film feels like 3 hours, and it's an hour and 25 minutes. And so for a film that's half its length of 3 hours, for a film that feels like 3 hours and it's only an hour and 25 minutes, for them to make it feel that long is really trying to say that this film does not work, the pacing's off, the story's awful, the characters don't work. There's just so many things about this movie I did not like. So Leonard Part 6, I'm going to give this a 1 out of 10. There's just not enough things for me to like here to really recommend this movie. Unless if you're doing a bad movie night with friends like what I was doing recently and you're just trying to track down the worst possible movie you can come up with. Well, Leonard Part 6 isn't the worst, isn't the most far off thing you could think of. I mean, it really is one of the worst movies ever made. So 1 out of 10 for me. Never watch this movie unless it's in good company or you're intentionally trying to watch a bad movie. So 1 out of 10. Do not watch Leonard Part 6.